And whatever you do, remember to, that's right, November 17, 2021, Science Paper 2, which is actually Chemistry, 2 hours, 85 marks. Yeah, the year 2021. Question 1, the answer is A. The branch of chemistry that deals with substances and processes in living organisms is known as biochemistry. Number 2, that's a cooling curve, where, in this curve, the graph represents a reduction in temperature and the change of state of the substance whose temperature is being reduced. So the answer here is, at this point it's gas, at this point this is condensation, both gas and liquid. It's liquid and solid. The answer here is C. 3. Which test could be used to show that a sample of water is pure? Its freezing point. The freezing point, or maybe a pure substance, has a sharp boiling or freezing point. Sharp, okay? And when that point in temperature is reached, the temperature in the substance stops changing. It becomes constant as it changes state. 4. Oxygen atom and oxide ions have the same number of protons. Therefore, the difference between the two is just the number of electrons. Oxide ions are those atoms that have gained extra electrons to balance up their chemical instability. But as they balance up their chemical instability to complete their outermost shells, they become charged. Therefore, they become negatively charged, the charge of -2, meaning that they become electrically unstable. Then they become attracted to the species from whom they got the electrons, and you have a bond which is based on charges, which is some kind of ionic bond. Question 5. Which set of properties describes those of an ionic compound? My answer there is A. They are good conductors of electricity, especially electricity in their ionic state, because the species would be mobile. Then in water, they are soluble. They're soluble because water is actually partially ionic and partially covalent. It's polar. Water is polar bonded. So the answer there is A. Number 6, the relative mass of copper 2 sulfate pentahydrate. I love the sound of that. Pentahydrate, meaning pentra 5. Okay, water is a salt that has water in its crystal, or water of crystallization. Therefore, it's a hydrated salt, and this salt is a sulfate, which results from sulfuric acid. Salts that come from nitric acid are called nitrates, chlorides, sulfates, phosphates, and I think you have seen the picture there. So my answer here was 186. You get the masses from the periodic table. 1 copper, which is 64, 1 sulfur, 32, 5 times 2, that is 10 hydrogens. Oxygen plus C, that's 5 times 16 gives you 80. The answer, when you add all of this, it gives you 186. So the closest answer here was supposed to be C. Number 7, why is ethanoic acid described as a weak acid? It only ionizes partially or sparingly in water. So it's a weak acid because it doesn't furnish a lot of protons, meaning that the protons that will be present in a given volume of ethanoic acid will be way little because of the partial ionization. So it won't really show those strong, acidic manly properties. I don't know if acids are men, but acidic manly properties. So it will be said to be weak. 8. An aqueous solution of aluminum chloride is tested with some reagents. Which of the following observations is correct? This question was tough. I had to check from some chart which I made some time back, because you have to remember what happens, or how these gases and these ions and anions are tested and the outcomes. So what I found my answer to be was B. Okay, somehow, unfortunately, I think for you guys, you have to memorize this. A long time ago, this used to come along with the practical paper, and you just have to compare and make your conclusions over what's in the table as to what you have found to be present in a given solution or sample of soil or something like that. Number 9, a solution of sulfuric acid is concentrated. A solution of sulfuric acid has a concentration of 0.25 mole per decimeter. What is the acid in 25 cubic centimeters in the solution? When I just read this question, I directly went to, since I saw that these are grams, I directly went to calculate. I converted this to grams and it gave me 24.5 grams. Then I realized this was too much. Then I read it again. Then I realized this is 25 moles per liter. This is 1 liter. But in volume terms, it's referred to as decimeter cubic or cubic decimeters. And now they're saying in 25, meaning you just get 25 cubic centimeters from this 1 liter. So I quickly changed it. Okay, so I quickly changed it. I had to make this comparison. In 1 decimeter, which is 1 liter, we have 0.25 moles. And then in 0.25 moles is in 1 decimeter, therefore 0.25 moles per decimeter, which is this here. So X moles of acid should be present in 25 cubic centimeters. So I converted the cubic centimeters because volume is always measured in decimeters. So I divided by 1000. So the point moved 1, 2, 3. And this is your volume in decimeters. So if this is that, then X is that. So I cross multiply. Then finally, my number of moles in 25 cubic centimeters, which is this when expressed in decimeters, is 6.25 times 10 to the power 3 moles. Then I go ahead and plug in this formula, which is this, which I had used wrongly here. So I just make M my subject, then multiply the number of moles times the molar mass, which is here, number of moles times molar mass. The number of moles are found in the 25, like a small portion from the 1 liter is this is the number of moles. And then the molar mass is 98 grams per mole. Okay, then finally my answer comes as 0.6125 grams, which is I didn't even write it. 0.6125 grams will be present in this match. But in the whole of this, when you convert this would be the mass, okay, in 1 liter, but they wanted in this one. 10. The following graph was obtained in a reaction between diluted hydrochloric acid, magnesium, and magnesium rebound. There is a graph. These are the points. What was the average rate of production of hydrogen, therefore the rate of reaction? That's our graph right there. The last marking is 60 cubic centimeters. This volume was attained after 30 seconds, time in seconds. Therefore, rate is equal to change in volume over time, or even change in mass. This is delta, meaning change in volume over time. Time was 30, the volume after 30 seconds was 60. Therefore, every 1 second, 2 cubic centimeters of volume of gas was produced. This is the rate. So our answer here is 2.0. That's that. We come to the next question. Element T forms an amphoteric oxide of formula T2O3. In which group, in which group of the periodic table is T likely to be found? My answer here is group 5, because when you look at this formula here, T2O3, how do you write formulas, like simple compound formulas? You get to know or identify their valencies, and then swap the valencies to come up with atomic ratios. So this T2, the 2 is a ratio which resulted from the valency of oxygen. Then the 3 is a ratio for oxygen which came from the valency of T. And they have told us that it's an amphoteric oxide, meaning that it's not really a metal. It's an element found along the zigzag, along the boundary that divides metals and non-metals. Therefore, the only group there that has got a valency of 3 is 5. So it's from group 5. 8 minus 5 gives you a valency of 3. So T is from group 5. Which of the following, that's 12, is the distinctive property of transition elements or of a transition element? I was almost rushing for A because transition elements make colored compounds. But again, that's not really firm. I felt C is more firm because transition elements have got variable valencies. Some of them may actually make white compounds, compounds that are just white. not really vary as in to form green, blue, red. So I felt the typical property here is C, because group 1 elements have a valency of 1, group 2 2, group 4 have a valency of 4, group 6 have a valency of 2, group 5 have a valency of, it goes on, but transition elements vary. That's why I've got ion 3, ion 2, ion 7, copper 2, copper 1. Copper 2 compounds are orange, copper 2 compounds are blue, copper 1 compounds are orange. Okay, so those variable. So that's why I wanted to rush for this, but this one is more firm. C. For this question here, 13, I had to check. You have to check on the periodic table because they've just given you the proton number. So go on the periodic table and check for those elements whose proton numbers have been shown here. And I found that 9 is for fluorine, 11 sodium, chlorine, and potassium. So the following table shows the proton numbers of 4 elements represented by letters V, W, X, Y, Z. Oh, V, W, Y, Z. There's no XH. These guys, the XYZ guys, I think are on my mind. So which of the following statements is correct? And I think my answer here was V and W. Fluorine is more reactive than chlorine. That's the answer there. We've been doing this for a long time. Yeah, XYZ. So 14, aluminum is used in the manufacture of aeroplane bodies. Okay, aeroplane bodies, and the main reason why it has got this advantage is because it is of low density. Okay, it has a low density. Number 15, gas X has the following properties. Colorless turns red litmus paper blue. If it turns red litmus paper blue, then it has got alkaline properties. Not or no effect on lime water, which is basic in nature. Soluble in water, the answer there is ammonia. Hydrogen and oxygen are not really that soluble in water. They're not. Carbon dioxide is acidic. It will turn blue litmus to red or pink. So my answer there is A. Which of the following will react with ammonium chloride to produce ammonia gas? I also hesitated when it came to this question. I had to think a little bit more, but the equation I wrote was this, which is very correct. Ammonium chloride reacts with reacts with calcium oxide to give you ammonia, calcium chloride, and water. Okay, therefore my answer here is D. Okay, that's D. But again, you find that this equation can also be rewritten where you get to place calcium hydroxide there instead of water, calcium hydroxide. So you have calcium chloride, calcium hydroxide, and ammonia. You maintain this, but you put calcium hydroxide. Okay, but this is one of them. But the whole point is this: ammonia will be liberated, produce ammonia gas. That's the thing there. 17. Which equation represents incomplete combustion of ethane? Incomplete meaning you don't really get to have the actual products that you expect. You get products that are somehow incomplete or intermediates. Therefore, when it comes to combustion, the main product which is obtained when the combustion is incomplete is carbon monoxide. So you have to know the products you expect also. Therefore, you expect carbon dioxide and water. So if you have got carbon monoxide, then you're going to have carbon monoxide and water, not hydrogen. So these two equations here fall out. So these two are there, but this one is carbon dioxide. So this one is our answer, carbon monoxide. And incomplete combustion may result due to insufficient oxygen or the fuel itself being maybe made of large molecules. For example, when it comes to these fuels like hydrocarbons, the larger the molecules, the more soot or the more carbon dioxide, monoxide is likely to be produced because they don't easily combust. They are too dense. Okay, they are too dense and coiled up. Okay, but the smaller one burn cleanly, like methane, ethane, butane, even ethene, they burn more cleanly because they easily react. Rates of reaction, the smaller the particle size, the higher the rate of reaction. Question 18. The following diagram shows the structure of butane, an unsaturated hydrocarbon, an alkene which is manufactured by cracking large hydrocarbons. There are two types of cracking. There's thermocracking and there's catalytic cracking, but both result into formation of smaller hydrocarbon molecules. And you should check out the difference between the type of smaller hydrocarbons that may result from those two types of cracking. But all in all, when you check out the answer here, which diagram or which hydrocarbon can be cracked to make butane? These three are small. This has 3, this has 1, this has 2 carbons, and this has got 4. So all of these are smaller than this compound, which is our result. So decane. Okay, decane is simply our 19. Which polymer contains only 3 different elements? Starch. Starch is a carbohydrate. Carbo for carbon, hydrate, ATE, meaning hydrated carbon, carbohydrate. So there are 3 compounds there. There is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Protein, there may be nitrogen, there may be phosphorus, sulfur. Then now you add the COH. These are just hydrocarbons. It's just CH for both. So our answer is D. The last one there, what is the linkage between the units in terylene? My answer is B. Terylene is simply an artificial polymer, or therefore an artificial condensational polymer, a polymer in which water is lost, okay, or I would say it is made by man, therefore it's artificial. And apart from that, you get to react a carboxylic acid and an alcohol, or a dicarboxylic acid and a diol, meaning di or double alcohol. And on each end, these 2 molecules get to join to each other. So when an acid reacts with and a carboxylic acid reacts with organic acid reacts with an alcohol, the bond that they create is an ester. So you have to know how an ester linkage looks like. So this is our ester linkage. This part comes from the carboxylic acid and this part comes from the diol, okay, or maybe the alcohol, the OH. So here you have lost oxygen, okay, or maybe let me say here you have lost the OH, here you have lost hydrogen, therefore you have lost water. Maybe let me scribble a little bit more. The diol may be, my resolution not working out well. I'll smash this phone, I swear. Okay, this is a double bond, hopefully it's visible. So this part here is what we have, this is our carboxylic group. Then you've got this is your alcohol, the OH. So you find that this part here is lost in form of water. Then what remains is the C with this oxygen and this O here. That's your ester linkage. Okay, so this marks the end of the first section of this paper. That is a science paper 2, 5124 from the year 2020. I'll see you in the next phase of this paper as we break it down. For now, I say bye bye to you all. Peace.